Uh, I'm Dr. Zainab and I'm going to continue with my lecture of personal identity. Last time we were doing the dental identification and we have done that. The dental identification is very, very important in case of mass disaster, particularly when there is mutilation of the dead bodies or burning, extensive burning of the dead bodies. Now the teeth, because they are made up of enamel and dentine and they are embedded in the bony sockets. So these are hard tissues. So the teeth, they do not putrefy, they are not lost. They also withstand burning. So the teeth, they form the part of unidentified remains of the mass road, railway or air disaster involving many victims should carefully be collected from the scene and received in the laboratory. There should not be any mixing because probably you people may be knowing that in the recent plane crash, there has been some controversy in the identification of a dead body on DNA examination and on dental examination. DNA examination has given the dead body as somebody else, and the dental has given that it is the body of someone else. So the dental tissues of the teeth, they should be collected very carefully from the scene and they should be sent to the laboratory also in a very careful manner. The objectives of examination is to know the number of the individual, how many people were present, and their personal identification, that is the positive identification, including the age of the person, race of the person, sex of the person, any other feature of special interest like the dental restoration. If the dental restoration have been performed like root canal or the dental filling or partial dentures have been applied, then we can take the help of the forensic odontologist and they can compare the findings which are present in the teeth with the findings which are given in the dental record, and this may be helpful in identification of the person. Scope. Okay. Great care should be taken in handling of the remains which are subjected to heat or fire to avoid further damage. And human remains having teeth should be removed in special containers which are numbered according to the number of the plot. Each container should bear a tag showing number of the plot and the site of recovery. Removal of the parts in container should be done after preparing the diagrams or taking the photographs of the area, and information regarding the characteristics of the remains should be obtained from the relatives and the friend, which is actually the third party identification and other agencies. Now, the information should include the full physical description of the individual with photographs and any previous medical and dental treatment record, along with the name of the medical practitioners who have treated the examining. Now, then these dental tissues which are sent to the laboratory, they are examined in the laboratory. Photographs are taken of the dentition and the skull to know the details about the dental cavity, fillings, or any other treatment which has been given to the person previously. In case of difficulty, the fragments should be removed from the remains for a more detailed examination. So we can remove the mandible and the maxilla and we can send them to the laboratory for examination. It is not that the examination should be conducted at the scene. Teeth are a very good tissues or means of determining the age up to a certain period. Now it depends upon the stage of the tooth development and it has got two periods, prenatal and the postnatal. In the prenatal period, you know that when the child is born, the teeth, they are developing, but they are not erupted. When the child is born, there are no visible teeth present in the buccal cavity in a normal child. But there are certain diseases where the child may be born with the teeth in the buccal cavity, like congenital syphilis. Now, in the postnatal, that is after the birth, there is growth of the teeth, and again, this growth period is divided when the teeth are milk teeth or deciduous teeth, and then the permanent teeth which are erupting, and there is an intermediate period also where there is mixed dentition present. Extent of eruption of the tooth, root development, general condition of the teeth, these accurately assess the age. Now we know that at the age of about 6 to 7 months, there is eruption of the first deciduous or milk molar, central milk molar in the mandible, and in the female. In the male, it may be about 1 month later. So first of all, there is lower central incisors, then upper central incisors, then the lateral incisors. Then these are there is eruption of the molars, and then the canine. In the milk teeth, there are no premolars present. The number is 20. So from the extent of the eruption of the teeth, the type of the tooth which has erupted, its roots, calcification, all these things, they can give us an assessment about the age of the child. Calcification of the root starts in the incisors at the tip of the milk tooth, usually at 5th month of the intrauterine life. From 5th month onwards, the process of calcification in the tip of the remaining teeth, it starts. At the time of birth, the process of calcification has progressed to the extent of 2/3 in the incisors and 1/3 in the canine, and just the tips only in the molars. So this is the calcification of the teeth. You can see the diagram on the left. Here there are certain teeth present, central incisors, which is A, lateral incisor B, canine C, and then the molar teeth. So none of them have erupted. None of them. And there is just calcification at the tip of the crown, and then when after 28 week, when the baby, the fetus reaches the age of about 36-37 weeks, then you can see that there are additional teeth present. There is central incisor, lateral incisor, canine. There are molar teeth present, and then there is permanent molar. A permanent molar is also forming, and you can also see the extent of calcification, which is more. And then at the age of 3 years, you can see that the teeth are present in the buccal cavity, visible in the buccal cavity. These are the central incisors, the lateral incisors, the canine, the first molar, and the second molar. And then these are the infantile or the milk teeth. And the first permanent molar, you can see that there is calcification present in the crown, and then also there is the second molar which is not erupted and no calcification is present in it. And you can also see the certain other teeth which are present, which are going to replace the milk teeth. This is central incisor, the lateral incisor, the canine, the first premolar, and the second premolar. So these are various types of dentitions which are present, and these are the various ages. You can see which of the teeth they are erupting. Like at the age of 6 years, you can see that the first permanent molar is still erupting. At the age of 8 years, the first permanent molar has erupted, and the central incisors has been replaced by the permanent central incisor, and the lateral incisor also is erupting. It is not fully erupted. At the age of 12 years, you can see that the deciduous or the milk teeth, they are absent. No milk teeth are present. They are all adult dentition. The central incisor, lateral incisor, canine, the two premolar, the first molar, the second molar. The second molar is still erupting, and the third molar is still present. Only there is calcification of the crown in the distal part, and the roots, they are not calcified. At the age of 21 years, here they have given that all the teeth, they are now erupted, and full eruption and full calcification of the roots is seen. The process of calcification is an incremental one, having phases of activity and rest. Uh, it is not that the teeth, their dentine or enamel or the roots, they will be formed as a continuous process. There will be certain phases where there will be increased activity, and then there will be certain phases where there will be rest in the process of formation of the calcification. The enamel and the dentine, they are formed by the rhythmic alternate periods of formation and rest, represented in the teeth as a series of lines in a thin section when seen under the microscope. The, when the child is born, ये birth नहीं है बल्कि birth है. When the child is born, the birth is a very stressful condition for the baby. So birth causes marked transitory upset in this equilibrium, which is recorded as a well-marked line. Here there is arrested growth present. So this well-marked line in the enamel and the dentine may be present, which may be visualized on the thin section under the microscope, and this is known as neonatal line. And from this neonatal line, when we count the incremental line every day, we can assess the age accurately. The number of the teeth in each jaw, primary teeth, are 10. They are also known as deciduous teeth. There are 10 primary or milk teeth in each jaw. These are two incisor, one central and the other one is lateral. There is one canine and there are two molar in each quadrant. There are no premolars present. Eruption of the deciduous teeth begins at the age of 6 months when the first tooth appears in the lower jaw. 6 months generally in the female child. The eruption of all the deciduous teeth is completed by the end of 2 years. Calcification of the roots of these teeth is completed by the end of the 3rd year, and deciduous teeth, they may remain in the jaw up to 12 years of age. So the age of eruption of the deciduous teeth, the lower central incisors, it is 6 to 8 months. You can, when you have got 6 to 8, like a range, we can say the smaller one is for the female and the larger one is for the male. So if the child is female, the age of eruption may be 6 months. If the child is male, then it may be 8 months. So lower central incisors, that is mandibular incisors, the age may be 6 to 8 months. Upper central incisors, 7 to 9 months. Upper lateral incisor, 9 months. Lower lateral incisor, 10 months. First molar, ये deciduous या milk teeth है, that is at 1 year's age, 12 months. Canines, 18 months, and second molar, 2 years. This is the age of eruption. After the eruption, the roots of the teeth, they will be calcified. And this time of calcification may be about 6 months to 1 month after the age of eruption. So this is a diagrammatic representation. The central incisors, two central incisors. Upper are, first of all, lower है 6 to 8 months, upper are 7 to 9 months. Then the lateral incisors, the age is 9 to 10 months. Then the canine, about 18 months. The first molar, it is 12 months, and the second molar, 2 years. So you can see the names which have been given and the age of eruption. Age of eruption is when the teeth, they become visible in the oral cavity. Whereas the calcification of the root, it cannot be seen. For that, we have to have a dental X-ray. Mixed dentation period ranges from the fall of the first deciduous tooth and eruption of the first permanent tooth. So it starts generally at the age of 6 to 7 years. Again, 6 years for the female, 7 for the male. So till the fall of the last deciduous tooth, which is roughly in the age of 12 to 13 years. So the first tooth, the first milk tooth which is going to be shed, it is the maxillary central incisor, and the first permanent tooth which is going to be erupted would be the first permanent molar. And the mixed dentition, it is continued from 6 years to 12 years or maybe up to 13 years. So we can say that 6 months, the eruption of the milk teeth starts complete by 2 years, root calcification by 2.5 to 3 years, and the milk teeth, they will continue for 6 years. At 6 years, the shedding of the milk teeth and the eruption of the permanent teeth will be starting, and the dentition will become mixed dentition. And mixed dentition will continue up to the age of 12 or 13 years, where some teeth are milk dentition and some are the permanent. By the age of 12 to 13 years, all the milk teeth, they are shed and they are replaced by the permanent teeth. Number of deciduous or permanent teeth and the extent of eruption of the permanent teeth is a guideline in this period for the estimation of the age. The number of permanent teeth in the mouth is 32. In a normal person, it is 32. Milk teeth, they were only 20, and in the permanent teeth, they are 32. Eruption starts first in the lower jaw, followed by the eruption in the upper jaw. Set of 32 teeth is complete around 18 to 21 years of age. 18 years में तो मुश्किल ही है. Generally it is 21 years or even later than that, because the third molar, generally it is a genetic problem. Generally space is not present for the eruption of the third molar. That's why its eruption is delayed. This set of dentition remains in the jaw till old age, when they begin to fall out because of attrition, wear and tear, and because of the disease. And then these permanent teeth, they are not replaced. There are only 2 sets, but in the human there is no third set. And once a permanent tooth is lost, it will not be replaced. The last permanent molar tooth is also known as the wisdom tooth, which may not be appearing till 25 years of age. So generally it is said that the first molar 6 years, second molar 12 years, and third molar 18 years. And up to 21 years, that's why it is known as wisdom tooth. But in many of the cases, the eruption may not be complete till 25 years of age. Certain specialized tests of teeth may give an age in the mature adult, but only on the dead subject. It is not possible in the living person. We can count the teeth, we can see whether they are milk teeth or whether they are permanent, and what is their eruption stage of eruption. Then we can take the dental x-ray and we can see the extent of calcification of the root, all these things. Once the skeleton is fully matured at about 25 years of age, accuracy of only the nearest decade can be expected in the living. That is, after 25 years, when the teeth, they are fully erupted and their root are also completely calcified, we cannot say that now this person is 25 years and this person 26 years. We can say this person is 25 and the other person may be 35 years. Age assessment of the adult over 21 years is much more difficult. So once the criterion of growth, they are absent and the growth has completed, then the assessment of the age in the adult, it becomes difficult. The time of dentition can be different with the sex. Generally, the females are a bit earlier. Diet, if the diet is rich in calcium, vitamin D, vitamin C, then the dentition will be normal. And if there is any deficiency disease or any other disease present, then the eruption of the teeth may be delayed. Now, the eruption of that permanent teeth, the name of the tooth, first of all, the first permanent tooth which is to be erupted, it is the first molar, and it is erupted at the age of 6 years. and the root is calcified completely 9 to 10 years. So first there is eruption, that is the crown becomes visible in the mouth, and then its root is also calcified. So first molar is the first one, then the central incisors 7 years, lateral incisors 8 years, then the first bicuspid which is behind the canine, premolar भी कहते हैं, that is 9 years, second bicuspid 10 years, canine 11 years, second molar it is 11 to 12 years, third molar 17 to 18 years. Generally 17 to 18 years is a bit too early. Generally the third molars, they do not erupt by that age. But if they are erupted, or even if they are not erupted, after 2 to 3 years, their roots, they will be calcified completely. So these are the permanent teeth. This, on the right side is the name: central incisor, lateral incisor, canine, first bicuspid, or we can say the first premolar, second bicuspid or second premolar, the first permanent molar, second molar, and third molar. So the first molar, permanent molar, is the first tooth to appear in the mouth. It is 6 years of age. And after that, the central incisor, it is the deciduous central incisor, it is going to be shed, and permanent tooth will be erupted at the age of 7 years, lateral incisors at the age of 8 years, then the first premolar 9 years, second premolar 10 years, then the canine 11 years, then the second molar 12 years, and the third molar, we can say 21 years or later. So the number, there are certain teeth which are present in the adult also, and in the milk milk dentition also. These are the incisors and the canine in the, but in the milk dentition the premolars are not present, and also the molars are 2 in number, whereas in the adult dentition the molars are 3 in number. So you can see that there are, in each jaw there are 4 incisors, 2 central and 2 lateral. Then there are 2 canine, there are 4 premolar, and there are 6 molars. The third molar, it is known as the wisdom tooth, because it is traditionally associated that at the age of 21 years the person becomes wise. The person becomes major enough to make decisions. So that's why it is known as wisdom tooth. So this is again a photo diagrammatic representation in which the condition, this is actually an X-ray. X-ray of the tooth may be seen, where certain teeth, they are erupted, they are visible in the mouth, and their roots are also calcified. Some of them, they are still being shed, and the permanent teeth, they are going to be replaced. The deciduous teeth are going to be replaced by the permanent teeth. And some of, you can see like the second molar, it is forming. Its roots are very rudimentary. The third molar, it is just a speck. There are not complete formation of the cusps, neither the roots are present. So at, this is at the age of 10 years. We can find that there are still certain milk teeth present. At the age of 12 years, no milk teeth are present. All the teeth, they are permanent. The second molar is erupting, and its roots are in the process of calcification. The third molar has not erupted. Only its crown is visible, no roots are present. So there are certain individual characteristics also. They say that particularly in the Negroid races, in the male, the first molar, the first mandibular molar, there may be 5 cusps present. Instead of 4, there may be 5 cusps present in the first mandibular molar. So this is helpful in the identification of the sex as well as of the race of the dental remains. These are certain remains which have been found and the photograph has been enlarged. You can see that there are certain teeth present. These are the molar tooth present and one is premolar, and certain teeth they are lost. The teeth which are lost, they are represented by the sharp cavities in the alveolar margin. ये post-mortem loss है और जो anti-mortem loss है, like in the central incisors, you can see that the cavity, alveolar cavity for the tooth, it has been filled up by the resorption of the bone and the deposition of the bone. So this is again a photograph of a mandible which has been received during the exhumation. We can count the teeth, we can see any dental restoration which may have been performed on it. We can also have the characteristics about the male or the female jaw. Many information can be obtained from the examination of the teeth, and there is one thing which is extra, that is the teeth and the bones. Both of them, they are the excellent material for collection, the material for DNA examination. So whenever we have got a tooth present or a bone like the mandible, so we can take that and we can send that for DNA examination also. So there is another method which is known as Gustafson's method, and Gustafson has studied various changes which are present in the tooth, and then he has categorized them into 3 stages, and through that he has tried to assess the age of the person. Like number 1 is attrition. You can see the attrition in the first one. It is a fully erupted tooth and there is no attrition present. Attrition 0. The dentine is present in the normal configuration, and in the second one you can see that the tip of the enamel has been worn off. So these are various stages in which we are going to take only the attrition. In the first one, there is no attrition present. In the second one, attrition present only at the tip. In the third one, the attrition has gone a bit more. Third, the attrition is touching up to the dentine. Then the attrition has gone down the dentine up to 1/3, dentine is visible. And then in the last one, you can see that no crown is present. The crown has been gone. It has been worn off. Then there is secondary dentine formation. There is periodontosis. There is translucency of the root. There are various changes present, but out of these changes, the transparency of the root, translucency of the root is the most consistent of the changes which may be helpful in estimating the age of the person. Then we can have the determination of the sex from the skull. There are certain characteristics which are present in the skull, certain which are present in the long bones. in the sacrum, in the sternum. So we can either take them as a descriptive change or we can do the measurement. These are actually specialized things which you should not be, you are not really required to memorize them, but you should know some certain things, that in the case where there are ball and socket joint like the humeral head or the femoral head, you can see the humeral head diameter, vertical diameter in the male is 38 and in the female it is these are different in the male and in the female. In the male it will be larger and in the female it will be smaller. Similarly, we can take the measurement of various smaller bones also. So one of them is the first metacarpal bone. We can measure the first metacarpal bone and that would be telling us about the sex of the person. This is an X-ray examination where the bones they are being formed and they are being visualized. You can see if you concentrate only on the carpal bones. In a male whose age is 6 months, you can find there are two bones which are starting to ossify. These are caput and the hamate. In the male age 6 years, you can find six. Actually, formula to ये कि 6 bones होने चाहिए, but we can find 5 of them. And in a person who has attained the age of 8 years, these are seven bones. So you can see the increase in the size, increase in the number of the bones which are now ossifying, and also increase in the size of the bone which has been formed. If you compare the male 6 months with the male 8 years, you can find that the caput and hamate which were present, now they have reached almost the adult size. Age estimation from the dental data after the person has attained the adulthood or 25 years of age, then it becomes very difficult. Up till about 40 years, only the appearance of the teeth can give us some guidance. Gustafson's work was the first study to assess the aging of the teeth on scientific footing. He assigned values to 6 types of changes in the fully erupted teeth, which he regarded as part of aging process in the teeth. But later on it has been found that only one of these changes is consistent, and that is translucency of the root. Other dental surgeons also devised certain methods of estimation of the age, counting from the incremental features in the enamel, striations of the enamel prism, and incremental line of growth. It shows a rate of about 1 micron a day. The method consists of counting the number of the striations from the time of birth. So in a small child, this can be helpful, but in an adult, it becomes difficult. Then Stack's method can also be used in infant, where the weight and the height of the developing tooth is an indicator of the age. Teeth and the dentine filling, they have got specific shape which are specific to each individual, like fingerprints which are specific to each individual. Similarly, the teeth and the dentine, they have got their shapes which are specific to each person, and a trained dental surgeon or forensic odontologist can identify people from these findings. Teeth are visible during the life, and their arrangement, if it is unusual, may be noticed and may be remembered by the friends and the relatives, and the dental record kept by the dentist may be helpful in identification of the unknown person, especially if the treatment is in the form of dental fillings or provision of the dentures or the extraction of the teeth. So the dental record, the dental surgeon may have kept a record in writing or in the form of X-ray, where he may have entered that filling have been done on specific teeth, or denture may have been provided, or certain teeth may have been extracted. And these findings, when these are compared with the unknown dead body, if they match, then we can say that identification has been done. It is necessary to record the fillings on the standard dentition chart and to use a specific form of notation symbols when we are trying to identify a person from the tooth. This should be really uniform. X-rays and the photographs are good material for preservation of such records. A dental surgeon can easily recognize his own work in the form of root canal or in the form of filling or the provision of partial denture. Bite marks on the clothes worn by the victim and on the underneath corresponding skin in cases of both physical and sexual assault can be identified. They can be identified physically by the dental surgeon and also through the DNA examination. DNA examination can also be, now you can see this is a bite mark present. There are certain abrasions present and there are certain bruises present, and in the center also there is a bruise present. So this photograph, it is taken and then the cast, they are also made from this, and then it can be compared with the teeth of the suspect. The center portion of this bite mark is always soiled by the saliva of the assailant, and we can take a swab and we can send it for DNA examination, and it will be a double method of identification. One is the dental identification and the other is the DNA identification. So the bite marks may be present on the human, on the cloth, on the human tissue, or they may be present on the food stuff like the chocolate or the cheese, which may have been left over at the scene of the crime, and it is a very good evidence for personal identity. Similarly, cigarette butts. Impression of the anterior teeth or both the upper on both the cloth or the skin should be compared with the bite marks. Examination of the bite marks should be done immediately before any distortion, because if the person is alive, the natural processes, they are going to alter the shape and the configuration of the bite mark. There may be swelling present, there may be healing present. If the bite mark is present on the dead body, then there will be putrefaction present. Similarly, if the bite mark is present on the food stuff, like it is a cheese present or it is an apple present, then with the passage of time, there may be melting present, there may be loosening, softening may be present, and it may be lost. Recording of the bite marks is done by developing cast models and by photography. So casts are produced and also photography is done. Then we come to the determination of age from the bones. Now, bones are very good indicator of the age of the person, particularly in the earlier age. Human skeleton develops from a number of separate centers of ossification, and these and the growth of these ossification center, and this is a very complicated process. The skeletal bones, they are preformed in a cartilage shape with the exception of the skull bones and the clavicle. So if we take the example of humerus or the femur, In the fetus, they are formed in the in the shape of the adult bone, but small in size in a cartilage, and then gradually that cartilage is replaced by the bone. But there are certain bones like the skull bones and the clavicle which are developed in membrane. There is a membrane present, and then that membrane is replaced by the bone formation. The cartilage takes on characteristic shape of the bone to be in fact is in the matrix. This is the matrix. The cartilage is the matrix from which the ossification will occur. The reliable estimation of age is based on the study of the long bones of the arm, leg, foot, shoulder, hip, and skull bones. And also, the mandible can help in the estimation of the age. In the long bones of the limb, appearance of the primary center of ossification and their growth, followed by the appearance of the secondary centers of ossification and their growth, and finally the union of the epiphysis with the diaphysis is a sign of age. And this can be utilized up to the attainment of about 25 years of age. Now, the primary center is when there is a cartilage model of the bone, and the first point at which uh, the bone is starting to develop in that cartilage, that is known as the primary center. And generally, the shaft of the diaphysis of the bone is developed from the primary center. The ends of the bones, they develop from the secondary center. Now, if we take the example of tibia, because it is easy to remember, the primary center will be present in the shaft of the bone at the age of about, and it will appear at the age of about 7 to 8 weeks of intrauterine life, and the growth of the bone will be upwards and downwards. Then the upper end, it is going to ossify from a separate center, and this center will be appearing either at birth or just after birth, first year of life. And then there will be another center for the lower end of the tibia that would be appearing at the age of about 2 years. Then all three centers, they will be growing, and the point at which the primary center and the secondary center, they meet, that place is marked tibia. This epiphyseal union will be, we can say, 15 to 17 years, just a rough estimation. And at the upper end, it will be 16 to 18 years. So from this, we know the age of the appearance of the primary center, the age of the appearance of the secondary center, the extent of the growth, the development of the epiphyseal cartilage, and then the union of this epiphyseal cartilage or its replacement into the bony tissue and the completion of the bone. And all these changes, they are going to give us an estimation about the age of the person. And in the various bones, the age estimation can be done up to the age of about 25 years. Radiological examination of the ends of the bone in the earlier age and morphological examination of them at the later stage, these are helpful in estimation of the age. Increase in the length of the long bone proportionate to the increase in the height of the person with the advancement of the age up to the attainment of the age of maturity. So the length of the bones, they go on increasing, and when the bones, they are increasing in the length, the height of the person is also increasing till a particular age is attained, and then the growth ceases. Length of the long bone is used as an indication of age. This is particularly true in case of unborn child. When we do the ultrasonography, we take the length of the diaphysis, the diaphysis of the femur bone, and from the length of the bone, it is calculated the age of the fetus. Femur is the most useful bone before the union of the epiphysis at the upper end and the lower end. Maximum length of the femur without the epiphysis is taken and compared with the standards. This method is useful when the estimation of age of immature skeleton without skull without the skull is to be taken. Now there have been various physicians and forensic medicine specialists who have conducted work on the skeletal remains, and one of them is Krogman. She is a woman, and she has divided the skeletal development for the estimation of age into 6 periods. The first is from birth up to 5 years. Here the age estimation in this period depends upon the appearance of the ossification center. At this time, the ossification centers, they are appearing in the bones. Many of them are primary and some of them they are also secondary. So they are just appearing. Second is from 5 to 12 years, depending upon, this phase, it depends upon the growth of the above mentioned centers of ossification. Now suppose if we are taking the age of a person who is 1 year, so here the center may have appeared, but it may be only say 3 millimeter in diameter. But once the same person has attained the age of 8 years, then the growth will be more, and the size of that epiphysis, it will be increased. So it is the growth of the above mentioned center of ossification and appearance of the additional secondary centers. The size of the center indicates the age. The third is from 12 to 20 years. Here the union of the epiphysis, it is taking place. And the fourth is 20 to 25 years. So in this phase, nearly all the epiphyses in the body have united, except just a few. It is the medial end of the clavicle, which is extremely variable both in its appearance and union. Generally, it is taken, because I have done many of the cases of age estimation, so generally we take that the appearance of the medial end of the clavicle, the center appears at the age of about 21 to 22 years, and then it unites with the main shaft of the bone at the age of 22 to 23 years. The fifth period ranges from 25 to 36 years. Now the skull sutures, they begin to close, and the extent of the closure of the sutures, it becomes helpful in estimating the age of the person. The important sutures which are closing during this period are the coronal, the sagittal, and the lambdoid. So they start their closure or obliteration from the age of 25, and this goes on first in the coronal, then in the sagittal, and then in the lambdoid up to the age of about 35 years. This union starts from the inner aspect, that is the inner table of the skull, and goes towards the outer table. The obliteration of the sutures of the skull sets in a little later and proceed more slowly in the females than in the males. Now, in all the bony growth, the females, they were faster. The changes they were appearing in the female earlier than the male. And these changes they were advanced in the female than when we compare it with the males. But the obliteration of the suture, it shows the opposite. That is, the obliteration of the sutures in the male is earlier, in the female it is later. Now I just want to show you certain things which you may be able to. Now this is the hip bone. Hip bone is developed from 3 primary parts: ilium, which is the superior portion, the anterior portion, which is the pubis, and the posterior portion, which is the ischium. And then there are 3 primary centers. These three primary centers, they keep on forming the bone, and there is an epiphyseal plate is formed, which is Y-shaped, and this is meeting in the acetabulum. So you can see that the upper portion is the ilium, the front portion is the pubis, and the posterior is the ischium. So this is triradiate or the Y-shaped cartilage, which may be formed at the age of about 13 years. Most of the books, they say 13 years. And by the age of 17, it should be united, the three parts, they should be united by the bony growth. No cartilage should be present. Then there are two secondary centers also. One is for the iliac crest, and the other one is for the ischial tuberosity. The center for the iliac crest, it appears at the age of about 16 years, and it unites at the age of about 21 to 22 years. That for the ischial tuberosity, it may appear at the age of about 16 years. दोनों के तकरीबन एक ही age है, and then it may be uniting at the age of about 23 years. So from this bone only, we can estimate the age of a person up to 23 years of age. Similarly, there are certain long bones also. There is femur present. Femur has got a shaft from the primary center, which is appearing in the intrauterine life, 7 years of age, 7 weeks of intrauterine age. Then the head of the femur, then the greater trochanter, then the lesser trochanter, and the lower end of the femur. So the appearance is that first of all, the center for the shaft appears in intrauterine life. It is about 7 weeks. Then the lower end of the femur at the age of 36 weeks, intrauterine. Then the head of the femur, which is after birth, generally in the first year. The greater trochanter appearance is 4 years. Lesser trochanter appearance is about 9 to 11 years. Then their union, it is in a reverse order. The lesser trochanter, it unites first of all at the age of about 12 to 13 years. Then the greater trochanter, again at the age of about 14, 16 years. In the male 19 years, सब में unite हो जाएगा. Head of the femur, generally it is united with the shaft or the neck of the femur at the age of 16 years. And last of all is the lower end, which is going to unite with the shaft of the femur at the age of 16 to 18, and in some races even after death. So we can say up to 20 years of age. You can take the help of your anatomy books also. They are also giving very good description of appearance, growth, and union. Now the sixth period, according to the Krogman, is from 36 years to 58 years. The progress in this period takes place. There is closure of the sutures other than the coronoids, sagittal, and the lambdoid. Other sutures are also closing, and the early degenerative changes of the age are occurring in the articular surface of the long bones in the joint, such as lipping of the ends, जिसको हम osteophytes कहते हैं, loss of the joint space, presence of punch out area of osteoporosis. So these changes can be visualized, they can be seen on X-ray examination. The seventh period is from 50 years onward. The process of closure of the suture and the joint changes proceed further along with the calcification of the laryngeal and costal cartilages. Beside the long bone, the skull bones also help in the determination of the age. The skull bones are separated by sutures, which are analogous to epiphyseal, diaphyseal plane in the long bones. So in the long bones, there is epiphyseal and and diaphyseal planes, which is known as the growing plate or the epiphyseal plate. But in the skull bones, which are flat bones, there are sutures present. These are the loci of growth. The growth becomes centrally and it proceeds peripherally and also has got a sequence and time of union. Cranial sutures of the skull are more relevant than those of the facial skeleton. When we had to estimate the age of the person, then we should take the help of the sutures of the skull and not that of the facial skeleton, because skull sutures, they are more consistent and facial skeletal growth is not. The value in the determination of the age is in the later period of life from 30 years or 35 years onward. The sutures, they can help us in identification of the age in the later age when the otherwise the growth of the bones it is complete. So the coronal sutures, the sagittal sutures and the lambdoid sutures. So there are various shapes. First there is zigzagging present, and then there is straight line present, and then after straight line there is union present. And this union is from the inner table up to the outer table, and then from the center going towards the periphery. Now this is a picture which is given by every book, but sorry to say that on X-ray examination it is not being found very consistent, but you can see that the metopic suture, which is the two halves of the frontal bones, they unite by the age of 2 to 8 years. Then the posterior part of the metopic suture 20 to 30 years, then vertex 40 to 50 years, then 50 years. Similarly, you can see the coronal suture and the lambdoid sutures. The process of union of the skull sutures begins by reducing their intervening space and uniting them together. The process of union has two progressive phases, that is from inner vault to the outer vault and also along the line of the sutures. The skull sutures finally get abolished and completing the process of ossification. Age changes in the mandible can also be considered in relation to the shape of the bone as a whole, as well as its various parts, that is the ramus, condyle and coronoid process. Now, in the infant, the ramus is short and oblique and forms an obtuse angle with the body. In the adult, the ramus becomes large, vertical and forms right angle with the body. In the old, the size is reduced and obtuse angle is formed by the ramus with the body. The mental foramen is near the lower margin in the infant. It is in the adult, it is midway between the upper and lower margin, and in the old person, it is closer to the upper margin. Condyle nearly in line with the body, not projecting above the coronoid process in the infant. In the adult, enlarged and projecting above the coronoid process. And in the old age, the relationship become erratic. In the old age, because the teeth, they are lost and the alveolar process is not present, that's why the shape of the mandible may become different. Now you can see the adult mandible and the old mandible. In the adult, the condyloid process, the coronoid process, the vertical angle of the ramus with the body, the alveolar process, you can see the mental foramen, you can see. In the old age, you can see that the alveolar margin is absent and the mental foramen is not seen even. Okay? So this is some help. We can have some help from the shape of the bone. Just 1 minute. Another very important characteristic of identification is the race. Globally, all the human beings in the world are not of a single race. Race is a primary characteristic of identification, and persons are divided into three primary races: the Caucasians or the Europeans, the Negroids, which are black, and the Africans, and the Mongoloid, which are Asians, Chinese, Japanese, etc. Pakistanis are also Mongoloid. Racial differences can be observed in the soft tissue as well as in the bone. Caucasians have got fair skin, light blue or gray eyes, light colored or golden brown hair, tall in stature, nose is narrow, lips are thin. Now you can see on the right side is a Caucasian woman, fair color, golden hair, blue eyes, thin lips, narrow nose. Then is an Asiatic, then a Chinese, and then a Negro. So there is color difference in the color, difference in the complexion, difference in the features also. You can see the eyes. Eyes are different. You can see that the lips, thick and everted lips are present in the Negroes. And now this Negro woman has got straight hair, which are artificially straightened because Negroes otherwise have got curly hair. So the hair, the complexion, the eyes, the nose, the color may be brown, the color may be black, the color may be mulatto or yellowish in color may be fair. And these are the shape of the face of various people, white people. You can see the complexion is fair, the hair is fair, the face is elongated, the black, thick lips, very prominent supraorbital ridges, black curly hair, thick nose, yellow, the mongoloid, small eyes, broad face. Then the aborigines, and also the Caucasoid, Africoids, Mongoloids, American Indians. American Indians are also the Mongoloid. And the Australoids, which are known as the Australian Aborigines, they are Negroes. Inshallah, we'll continue with this next time.